Greetings, everyone. Welcome to my studio, where it's always all about art, history, and culture. If this is your first time, you're most welcome. If you're returning, even better. It is fantastic to have you here today. Oh, it's a very sunny day out there. The sun is just pouring in, and I hope we're going to have a lovely time this afternoon as we'll talk about my new presentation in the background here. This is a work that's very dear to me. All my work, that's a cliche now. All my works are dear to me anyway because before I start any piece, I have to be inspired. I have something that has to pull me, and sometimes the pull is pleasant. Sometimes it's not so pleasant. Sometimes it's a mixture of both. Doing this piece, it came with a sense of deja vu. I did a painting a while ago. I called that one Batman's Long Wait for Mandela. It was a difficult one to do because of the subject matter. This one, I'm afraid, is of a similar vein. The subject matter it's very touching, but like most things in life, sometimes certain things are bigger than us, and you just have to push on. So this is one of those things that I thought, upon me, you just cannot run away from this one. Yeah, I just have to do it, and not until I finished it, I could not get it. Even I couldn't get it out of my mind. But even now, it still bothers me anytime I think about it. But well, it's one of those things. Anyway, I thought I would just tell you a bit before I dive into this work, the emotions, what makes it sad, and how that ties in with relates, I should say, to the work I did on Sarah Baatman, Batman's Long Way for Mandela. Now, this work, if you see this work now, you see it's quite colorful. It's a young lady of 21, and beautiful red, bright red dress with her red matching lips. She's got a beautiful gold chain and an elaborate hairdo. That is, I just I would make her hair a bit more elaborate because she's actually a hairdresser. Hairdressers take pride in their profession, and they try to look good. So, elaborate hairstyle tells her profession. She's a hairdresser. She I'm afraid because it's all in the past tense now, she was a hairdresser, young lady of 21. In this painting, it measures 80 by 100 centimeters, and I use my usual style, acrylics and spontaneous impressionism is what I did here. That flow, and I was trying to, in doing this work, at least facially, I'm trying to bring out the vibrance of this young lady. If you look at her, it's can be you can see this is the image of any young woman that full of life. She's full of life, and I try to imagine her on the day she was going out because that's all part of the story. So I imagine this lady all dressed up and then going out to enjoy the day, the evening. That is why she's so beautifully all made up. Anyway, I said this story of this lady when I was doing this painting, it was a feeling of deja vu. Deja vu in the sense that I did a work, like I said earlier on, Sarah Baatman's Long Way to Mandela. That was a story, a heart-wrenching story of another young woman that her passing was not that. Anyway, what can I say? It was terrible. This is of a similar vein. Her passing was so sad, and but when in being Sarah Baatman's Wait for Mandela, that one was a bit easy because in that painting I just tried to restrict myself to a few colors. Then I employed the colors of the flags of both South Africa and France, and because I was able to guide myself in terms of the colors I used, it was a bit more mechanical, I should say. But this one is not that mechanical. This is more free flow, and it's only thing that really stands out is just the red dress. I thought, I will there's a popular song, you know. Sorry, when I do my presentation, like I say to sometimes drift on what there's one of my favorites I used to like a lot back then is Lady in Red. Anyway, that is all about that is just by the by. And anyway, who is this lady? This is her name is called Agnes Wanjiru. Agnes Wanjiru was a Kenyan young woman, and this image I tried to picture her on the day she went out to enjoy life, and that sadly became the last day of her life. And this was back in 2012. Now, what happened on that day? She went out with her friend. By the way, she was a mother of a young child. She's got a young baby at the time of her passing, and went out with friends to enjoy the evening. And on their outing, they encountered um, some British soldiers that are serving in Kenya, and you know, got chatting, and these young soldiers invited them out. So they went to this hotel club, whatever, to have a good evening, enjoy themselves. And sadly, that was the last this young woman was seen alive. There was a search for her. A search party went out. They tried to look for her all over the place. They couldn't find her. And the family was troubled because then she had a young child. I mean, it was a very, very sad, sad day. They couldn't find her. But lo and behold, 2 months after she went missing, the body was found. The Kenyan police, they found her body in a cesspit, in a septic tank. A septic tank. I'll have to elaborate about this a bit because different people call it different names. For example, in my country, Nigeria, we call it a sockaway pit. In other parts, they call it a latrine pit, a toilet pit. I'm sorry, I'm going on about this, but I just want people to get exactly what I'm talking about here. A septic tank, a sockaway pit, a latrine pit. It's a pit more or less where human feces is flushed into. That was where the body of this young woman was found after 2 months. It was greatly decomposing, as you can imagine. And when an autopsy was carried out, they found that she suffered stab wounds, and the lung was collapsed. The body, as you can imagine, was greatly decomposed in many regards. So they could not tell much how it all happened. But one terrible thing that was discovered from the autopsy was that she was alive at the time she was put into the septic tank. So she more or less suffocated or drowned in the feces in which she was placed. It was terrible. She was alive. Bear in mind, she was alive at the time she was placed into the septic tank. Now, is this true that people die every day? There's so much injustice in the world, and yeah, horrible things happen. But periodically, something will happen that we just touch people so much that it awakens something that people will say, oh, this level of injustice is too much, If people cry out. I mean, in some presentation I did a while ago, I did the Chibok girls. It was that level of injustice. Sarah Baatman, that level of injustice. In America in the 60s, I believe, we had the case of Emmett Till. That was injustice. Even in England, we had the case of Stephen Lawrence, that it takes one kind of level of injustice to just say, no, this is just not true. This is not acceptable. And this is the case here with this case of Agnes Wanjiru. Wanjiru, that is Wanjiru. I hope I pronounced it right, but it's a Kenyan name, Agnes Wanjiru. Anyway, the investigation of the Kenyan police will later reveal that this young woman was killed by a British soldier. This is what makes it so terrible, because, like I say, I want to use one as a venue to look into a broader issue, and that is where this British soldier comes into it. I don't care to mention his name anyway, because as far as I'm concerned, he was a despicable human being, Anyway, this British soldier was found to be the one responsible for her death. From even the preliminary reports, I think he was overcome by guilt. He actually confessed this, but higher powers within the establishment told him to keep his mouth shut. And then in time, this guy was shipped out of Kenya. He left the country, and even 4 years or thereabout after, this soldier with his colleagues, they were in social media WhatsApp group, I believe it was, they were making a mockery of this woman's death, using emojis about septic tank, the dead body. For them, it was as if it was something, a funny episode, exciting episode that happened while they were serving in Kenya military barracks, British military barracks in Kenya. But anyway, after lots of pressure, I must give thanks to the Kenyan police that they will not investigate authorities, they will not relent. And then it took 13 years before this British soldier was arrested in England. Actually, this year, 2025, was when he was arrested and taken to court. The case is still going back and forth now, so he's not yet been extradited to you. So we don't have justice yet. So the chapter is not closed, it's still ongoing. That's why I say it's a very sad, depressing case. For his eventual arrest, sometimes I have to give credit to the British press, because some within the British press kept on their own side of pressure to bring this what should I call this man? This person to justice. Now, what is the broader context here? I say it was just an avenue by which to look into other issues, and for me, it is the proliferation of foreign military bases all over Africa. Africa is completely. This is, like I said, this guy was operating from a British military base in Kenya. So you have all this Africa is basically locked down. You have military bases all over Africa. As a matter of fact, in African countries today, you have 15 African countries got military bases. So from all angles, from South Africa to everywhere, they're all over the place. So this one, so the Americans seems to have the majority of the military bases. The Russians have 7. The Spaniards have 6. The French, because the French have been kicked out of, because many of African countries say, so we cannot put up with this nonsense anymore. So they've kicked out some French military bases, but we still have 4 French military bases. UK has 7, one of which is this one in Kenya. I mean, even Israel. Can you imagine? Even Israel has 3 military bases in Africa, in Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somaliland. It's just incredible. The American military base is the biggest. They have the biggest one in Djibouti. And other countries have military bases. In short, Djibouti is a joke. So anytime anybody from Djibouti tells you they are an independent country, you can just laugh at their face. Because in Djibouti alone, you have, I think, about eight different military bases in Djibouti. So like I say, if the military personnel in Djibouti, if they want to fight among themselves, they can even create their own mini world war within Djibouti. Djibouti will be completely, that is, they don't have to bring any other forces from their home countries or military. The military they have in their country and their personnel can destroy, if they fight among themselves, like that saying, we have an African saying, when elephants fight, the grass suffers. If they fight among themselves, they will completely destroy Djibouti. Yet, Djibouti still has the infantry to say they are an independent country and they have a military armed forces. Who are you fooling? So you see the case of this military base all over Africa. It's incredible. It's incredible. So this is where this woman was, and after her death, it took 13 years, 13 years, for the perpetrator of this terrible, heinous crime to be arrested. To be arrested in Kenya. And this impunity with which these people act is not unique to the the British in Kenya. It is everywhere. Anywhere this military, I mean, it's as if they take these their hosts, women, host countries' women, as their authorities, and they do as they like. I am particularly sad about this because the impunity with which these people act when they are in Africa, we don't see that in any other countries. I will bet you my last penny that the fate Miss Agnes Wanjiru suffered in Kenya will not in a million years happen in this American military done by American military personnel in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait, in Qatar, all the way there in the Middle East. But when it comes to the Africans, they can do it in impunity. They will not do this in Germany military base. They will not do it in the military base in Japan. But in Africa, they will do it and get away with it for 13 good years. And they were laughing about it. Because it's as if, oh, we can do as we like because our African hosts, they cannot touch us. We are invisible. We are invisible. So when I think about these things, oh, it's so heartbreaking. I think kind of our African, why are you people selling us so short? Why? So in all these countries where these African leaders are operating, that level of impunity, they even reduce their, because some of all these embassies, these military bases, even their, because it's all wrapped up with diplomatic language. So the country, the military base, they like embassies. So this guy that murdered this woman, Agnes Wanjiru, when the time was right, he just took his bags and just left the country. They fly in and out of the country as they like. One case that I found very troubling. You might have heard of it as well. It was when American president, in one of his many, sometimes words fails me when you want to describe the American president, but I'm not going to go into his personality now, which seems quite troubled. But recently, the American president was threatening that he was going to bomb Nigeria. Though his exact words was he's going to send his guns blazing into Nigeria to fight the same Boko Haram terrorists, which it been revealed even by the Americans that the American was funding. You see, Donald Trump said he wants to now go there, guns blazing, kill everybody. Now, why is that important in this incident? Again, we talk about the issue of military bases. I must say, I'm There are many things for which I can condemn my country's government for, Nigerian government for. But I'm very proud of the Nigerian government because Nigeria don't host any military base of any country. Nigeria has that self-respect. Yeah, we have some issues, but I tough my heart our leaders that they don't tolerate, say, having a military base in the country. Nigeria never tolerate that, and I'm very proud for that act. I mean, it's an open secret that whenever a new president is elected in Nigeria, the American ambassador always makes a beeline for the presidential villa to sought permission for Americans to have a military base in Nigeria. And on all occasions, the Nigerian government has always said, no, you're not having a military base here. But now, the Americans now, they're trying to want to attack Nigeria. And if they're going to do this, guess where they're going to read from? From Ghana. Because Ghana is where they have their nearest military base from where they will operate to attack Nigeria. Ghana of all places. Ghana of all places. America has a military base in Ghana. Not only do America have a military base, a section of the Ghanaian International Airport is under the control of the Americans. So can you just kind of just imagine this? So there's a section of the Ghanaian International Airport from which Americans can fly in and out unquestioned as they please. Whereas this same section of the International Airport of Ghana, not even the Ghanaian president has access to a section of his own airport where is very independence. Isn't that lamentable? Yeah, they will call it. It's what term they always use. It's to strengthen our security and economic ties. Yeah. So that there's a section you cannot enter in your own country, and now Ghana, a country with which Nigeria has had great relationship over the years, despite our little difference now and again, will then become the launching pad from which the Americans wants to attack Nigeria. I mean, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? Ghana, the home of Kwame Nkrumah, the burial place of W.E. Du Bois. These two gentlemen, great African Pan-Africanists. So a few months when they're buried is where America will attack the giant, the most populous country in Africa. Ghana has the black star of Marcus Garvey on their flag. Ghana. Talking of Ghana now, about Nkrumah, I remember the words of Nkrumah when he once said, that is on the occasion of Ghanaian independence from Britain. He said, the independence of Ghana means nothing, will mean absolutely zilch, not until the rest of Africa is free. Can you imagine, just take a break, can you imagine if back then you had whispered in the ears of President Nkrumah, say, oh, Your Excellency, in time to come, this your fine words will be meaningless. Because other presidents will come, will allow your country to be a military base. Section of your airport on which you welcome your dignitaries will be under the control of a foreign power. And who is that foreign power? The same foreign power that with their CIA will overthrow your government, will become complicit in your death. That same country will be the launching pad from which the Americans will want to destabilize their neighbors. Nkrumah will say, oh, come on, man. Get out of here. You must be joking. But that is the reality today. That is what Ghana has reduced themselves to. Because it's as if they sold their souls. Well, what I'm saying about Ghana here, like I said, Nigeria is a case where I am proud Nigeria does not tolerate military base in our country, which is something highly commendable in the circumstance in which we find ourselves. If not, it should be the norm. But even while I say I am proud of successive Nigerian government never accepted a foreign military base in our country, I cannot be too overjoyed because in Nigeria today, Nigeria hosts the biggest American consulate in the world. Mind-boggling, isn't it? The biggest consulate in the world is in Nigeria. American consulate is in Nigeria. It's not in Japan. It's not in China. The second biggest economy, probably going to be the next biggest economy in the next few years. It's not in Japan. It's not even in Europe, with whom they have historical ties, economic ties. Our biggest trading partner is the EU. American biggest consulate is not in any of these places, but it is in Nigeria. Doing what? The American consulate in Nigeria, oh my goodness. It occupies the Nigerian government gave them a piece in what they call this place in Lagos. I think they gave them, oh, that's my glasses. They gave them a land space about I think 12 and a half acres of land. 12 and a half acres of land. To do what? To do what? 12 and a half acres of land, and the building itself costs the Americans over $500 million to build, about $532 million, over $500 million just the structure. Well, I'll leave you to guess what they will spend on surveillance equipment they have there. Yeah, I say surveillance because, you know, that's what they do. And you can bet as well, maybe more than half, well, majority of the personnel working in that place will be CIA agents. So that is a spy. Nobody, you don't need to be Einstein or any super brain to tell you that is a spy hub for the Americans. From where we foment confusion all over West Africa, if not all over Africa. I mean, the Nigerian, whole of Nigerian economy, whatever our wealth, is not up to the economy of Texas. So we're not going to talk about bigger states like California. No. Let's say Texas. Texas economy is bigger than the economy of the whole of Nigeria. Yet we have a building that hosts the American embassy that is, the building of it costs over $500 million. What are they? I mean, the actual business America has with Nigeria will not cost. They can operate it from a bungalow. Yeah, but when they did this thing, they invited Nigerian VIPs. The governor of Lagos, they went there. Oh yes, it's to cement our security by economic. What economic ties? What are you guys doing? You see, this is something about history when I maintain when people do not know their history, sometimes they equally will not realize when that same history repeats itself, either for the good or for the bad. What has happened in the past can always happen again. If you can collapse time and space, you find out what happens 10,000 years ago can easily happen again today. The second system is a bit different, but it's okay. No, talking of what happened in the past, let's go back now to uh, again Ghana, the 14th century. Emina Castle dungeon. Emina Castle dungeon, it's in Ghana. From the Emina Castle dungeon, that was where that had. First of all, what happened then? The Portuguese came. They approached the king of the place, King Hansa. King Hansa, we want to build a trade post in your coast. Who can trade. King Hansa said, no. In the past, you people come, you give us your stuff, we sell to you, we buy from you, we trade, you go your way. We don't want you to have a permanent presence here. Besides, what you are asking for is too big. What are you doing to that? Give you all this massive place to build a trade post? King Hansa said no. But you see, the world was a different place then. Africans, we don't have guns. Never been interested in weapons of death and destruction to that scale. Africans didn't have guns, so they showed King Hansa what they can do. If you don't allow us to have this space we want to build our trading post, we're going to kill you, all your people. We're going to destroy your kingdom, and we're still going to have our base here. That was a threat on King Hansa. King Hansa had to back down. And then they built Amina Castle. Amina Castle dungeon, I call it Amina Castle dungeon because when you call it Amina Castle, it gives it a flowery name, a flowery vibe. I like the term I heard an African American woman use. It says the dungeon is a castle dungeon, so I call it Amina Castle dungeon. The Portuguese built this dungeon, and from there, you know the rest about the whole slavery business. From Amina Castle dungeon in Ghana, that was where millions of Africans, although they had slave dungeons, slave coasts all over, trading all over Africa. We have lots of them in Nigeria, Badagry, close to where this American embassy is today. We have most of them there. But that was how it was established. And Africans were just shipped to work. I understand. The past is past, forget the past. Forgive. Yeah, we forgive, but you don't forget. You don't forget. If you forget, you take a leave of your senses. You don't forget. And you become more precautious. Yeah, the world has changed now. So in Nigeria, when they've come to build this, I tie it to Amina because in Amina they said we want to build a trade post. So it's the same thing now. They tell you the embassy is to strengthen our trade and our economic relationship. That's why I tied it to now. So obviously nobody come to put a gun on the heads of our government in Nigeria. So we must build this biggest embassy in the world. But we all know they have a way of putting economic pressures. They put economic pressures on our people and then they gave in. They couldn't stand, they couldn't say no. You ask what do you need an embassy that size for? Oh, you want to create a good economy. So now you're having a great trade relationship with Nigeria, great trade relationship with Ghana, great with all these other countries. But when the American president wakes up, like somebody waking up from a bad nightmare, feeling dizzy, he's going to go and attack Nigeria from Ghana. It never occurred to anybody. It never occurred to him. It's okay. This will not bode well with my good economic partners in Ghana that I want to attack the neighbor, because that's something that seems to tickle with Africans. Once these great powers call them partners, they feel good about themselves. Yeah, we're partners. What says John Henry Clark? You have no friends. Don't be fooled. Yeah, the governor went to Lagos, went to the grand opening, Now, Donald Trump is saying you want to. From that embassy, like I say, that is a spiral from which they will destabilize the rest of the entire region. Probably the whole of the continent. Why? Because we have our leaders that don't think. They don't think. This thoughtlessness of our current leaders, I must say, I strongly believe it's a new kind of disease of the mind that we are suffering from, because it wasn't always the case. When you go back to the 60s, again, Nkrumah's time, we had visionary leaders that had the interest of the people at heart. I mean, the likes of Julius Nyerere, Selassie, Nkrumah, all these people. I mean, that was in Ethiopia. They came together, and then they formed the Organization of African Unity. Fantastic. This was back in 1963. This was only because many countries of Africa were not at independent back then, so it was only 32 countries that formed the OAU, as it was then called. This fantastic structure. It was paid for by the Ethiopian government under the leadership, let's say, of the great Emperor Haile Selassie. They had a clear vision what they were doing. Clear mind. I mean, they said, we're going to work towards the unity of Africa, solidarity, cooperation, defend our sovereignty. Our territorial integrity must be maintained and respected. Eradicate colonialism. Oh, yeah, yes. Colonialism was eradicated. Thanks to them. They eradicated colonialism. They worked closely together. Remember when Nkrumah was overthrown, his government was toppled by the Americans, the CIA. He went to Guinea, Secretary, took him on board and made him a co-president. I mean, that is, just imagine that. Come and be, your Ghanaians don't appreciate you. Come and be a president with me, work with me. And he worked closely with Secretary. I mean, can you imagine that level of bondness or vision? We're going to stick together. No matter what, we're going to stick together. But even then, the Americans still will not let him be. They chased Nkrumah all the way, and then eventually, he was complicit in his death in Vietnam. He was poisoned to death. I introduced a book to you that they called White Malice by Susan Williams. See what these people do. Anyway, back to the OAU. AU was established, and it ran beautifully. So that 1960, it went on, and then okay, the Africans, we've achieved our independence. They created another. Let's take it to another level. The Organization of African Unity was then transformed to become the African Union. Now let's look at this closely now. Yeah, I want to see why I say this crop of leaders we have now. There's been a mental shift. There's some kind of a mental shift that's happened to them. Now, this was in actually that's 2006. The Chinese, under the presidency of Hu Jiantou. I mean, if you say Hu Jiantou in Africa, not many people know him, because the Americans, the Chinese, that heavily involved in our affairs. But if you talk of America, since our independence, when you go back to JF, John Kennedy, all the way to the present time, Africans, because the Americans, because of their always poking their nose in our affairs. Anyway, President Hu Jiantou of China came to the Africans and offered to rebuild for them, not renovate the old one, not to renovate the original one, but I'm going to build for you people a new secretariat. And then the Chinese government put down $200 million. Now, $200 million, it might seem big, but in the great scheme of things, it is nothing. But these African leaders could not have the presence of mind to say, no, for our own dignity, for our own self-respect, we're going to have to fund ourselves. No, they accepted this this gift. They didn't know they were accepting a poison chalice. The Chinese came along and then they built this. Look, when you look at it, the African Union building, all nice, beautiful, shiny, glassy edifice. So the original one by Celeste was put aside, and then you had this new one. And they all went there, all their excellencies, they're all happy. Oh, we have partners. Yeah, that's when these people are called the Africans partners. They think, yeah, we are really partners. They really love us. We are colleagues. Yeah, we are associates. The Chinese built them the embassy, the secretariat, and furnished it. Everything. So the Africans just went there with their suitcases. Would you believe? Unknown to these Africans, the entire building, all their communication equipment was bugged. Surveillance was for 5 long years. The Africans had absolutely no idea what was going on. For 5 years, absolutely clueless what was going on. That the Chinese was monitoring everything they were doing. That's why today I hear people crying that, oh, the Chinese are coming to take over Africa. No. They've been on it for a long, long time. There is no such thing as a free lunch. There is no such thing. All African countries come together, you couldn't raise $200 million to build yourself. Well, not even to renovate the old one or to build a new one, $200 million? What are you talking? I mean, come on. A state governor in my country, in Nigeria, can build that thing easily. $200 million. Africans couldn't do it. And now the Chinese, even after, when the Chinese bought this place for 5 years, you would think, okay, they will come to you and realize, hang on. We have to be careful. We have to be very careful here. Because this is something that ought to be very embarrassing. Well, as if, they just went on their way. So today, the African Union, the funding of their operation, they've been defunded 70% of the African Union is funded by the European Union and other international organizations. 70%. So where is your independence? Where is your independence? Where is your sovereignty? They tell you what to do. They set your agenda. That is why today in Africa you can have cases where the Europeans say, oh, we condemn in the strongest term what is happening in Burkina Faso. Because the Burkina Faso, they've interfered with Western style democracy as we know it. Oh yeah, Western style democracy. That is why, they're very happy. Yeah, Paul Biya ruled Cameroon for, 40 years. Well, it's as if the Cameroonians now, they're just kind of waiting for Biya to die. Because that's what's happening now. There's nothing they can do about Biya because he's being protected by the French and all the. So they just, all that can happen to save Cameroon now is for Biya to just die of old age. Then they'll carry on with the new presidency. Oh, what they call him? Uganda, the same thing. You're there forever. All these African countries. Oh, they're practicing Western style democracy. So, no problem. Fine, carry on. I mean, I talk of great African leaders. Who would have thought? In short, oh God, Julius Nyerere will be spinning in his grave. What they call that a new president? I don't care to mention her name. Magufuli was the darling of the people. Magufuli died mysteriously. One day the truth will be out. Because Magufuli is not the first of African leaders that has been taken out in this way. Till independence, the Western powers, they've murdered about 22 African leaders. So Magufuli was not the first. So now this woman comes in now. Yeah, she won. By 98%. 98% of the vote. Why didn't she just make it 100%? She won by 98% of the votes. Oh, well done. It's Western style democracy. So she's welcome to the fold. I always maintained. Two things the African has bought to his great detriment. religion and the illusion of Western democracy. So this is what is used by which all this confusion is caused all over the whole place in Africa. So when this case of this military takeover all over the place is happening today, let's not be deceived. Let's not be fooled. In the past, it came by brute force. You accept our takeover or we destroy you, we kill you. But that's not the case. The world is changed. You can't just go kill you. The way they threatened King Ansar to get Emir Castle erected, they cannot do that now. But if you have your self-pride, self-respect, you should be able to say no to this pressure. This is not good for my people. This is not good for my people. But they have all this military base. Can you imagine this case of the killers of Wanjiru? These were the same people. I introduced to you the other day the book called Whip Not Child by Ngumi Wationgo. That was about the Mau Mau. Without the Mau Mau, there will be no Kenya as we know it today. Even if they are good at university, it would not have come when it did. Thanks to the Mau Mau. The Mau Mau gave their tears, their blood, they gave their life for Kenya to come into its independence. Can you imagine now? Those Mau Mau warriors. Can you imagine if you had told them back then, the day will come, all what you're doing, all this you're fighting, all this blood, sacrifice you're making, it will be in vain. Because within living memory, the day will come when one of your granddaughters will end up in a septic tank at the hands of these soldiers you are fighting. The mama will say, hell no, that cannot happen. But there it is. Because we lack people. It took 13 years. 13 years for the man not to be jailed, to be arrested. It took 13 years. And then the Kenyans think they are free, they think they are independent. It is when you look at this things from all different angles, it's so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. What says John Henry Clark? Leader, where are you leading me? That is the question we Africans are asking our leaders. Where are you people? What are you people doing? Where are you leading me, leader? We have leaders that seem so shallow. Then it is. People say, "Oh, I've got this friend. It's always challenging me. Say, upon me, you always go on because you don't consider the complexity of these issues, the deep-seated, complex issues. Oh, upon me, you remember the Berlin Conference, Africa? What Berlin Conference? What Berlin Conference? Berlin Conference happened over 100 years ago. The participants of Berlin Conference will fit into this studio. There was even plenty of room. Now you have 54 heads of things. What can't you undo? Why can't you get these things right? Once upon a time, we had leaders that didn't have money. Many of you watching this presentation now probably have more money in your bank account, in your current account, than Nkrumah had at the time of his death. So it's not always about money. Talking of I'll talk of Nkrumah. I'll say it's a disgrace what is happening in Ghana today with their military bases. Now, let's look at it properly, close it down. Nkrumah, because that is a given. Nkrumah was murdered, was overthrown by the Americans, the CIA. They did that. That is not. Everybody in the Ghanaian parliament knows that. Every thinking adult in Ghana knows that. The heads of the first Nkrumah, pioneer Pan-Africanist, well respected all over the world, was killed by the Americans, was overthrown by the Americans. Why? Now, Nkrumah wanted, because for a long, long time, there was the narrative that Nkrumah was overthrown because he was getting too cozy with the USSR. But that is not the truth. Now, we now know Nkrumah was overthrown, his government destroyed, eventually murdered, because the Americans, through the CIA, could not stomach the fact that Nkrumah was contemplating establishing a nuclear reactor in his country. He wanted atomic energy to industrialize his economy. For that, the Americans said, hell no, we're not going to take it. And they went into overdrive. They took him out. Eventually, he was killed. Now, when I say the Ghanaian president, there's a section of his own country's national airport he cannot enter, this is what I mean. He is not the ultimate power in Ghana. Whatever they call the military head of intelligence or whatever, American ambassador in Ghana, those are the people that are real power brokers in Ghana. If you doubt me, now I put a challenge not only to the Ghanaian president but any other president in Africa. So okay, we want to go back to the 60s now. Mr. America, you say we've got great economic ties and cooperation. Now I want to go back to 1960s. I want to rebuild that atomic reactor Nkrumah was trying to do. We want nuclear energy to power economy, to industrialize our economy. Let us see how far Americans we are. Well, the Ghanaian president will not even try it, because he knows if he does, if he even thinks about it, that will be the last day he will enjoy state power. The Americans will go all out. You might even be lucky to get out to get away with his life, because we see what these Western powers do all over Africa. They don't hesitate when it comes to killing. They can just kill any leader. I mean, since Fidel Castro, no other leader in the world's life has been so threatened as we have today with the president of Burkina Faso, President Traoré. But you see, while I love Traoré, is I always maintain this. People talk about Traoré. That's the man that has genuine love for his people. He's the kind of leader that, yes, we answer in the affirmative the question of John Henry Clark. Leader, I'm the leader, and I know where I'm leading you people to. Come with me, and that's why people follow him. Yeah, Captain Traoré, academically, he hasn't got this plethora of doctorate degrees, high qualifications we see of people parading in Africa, claim to have. Under normal circumstances, in many parts of the world, they will say, oh, if it is with this so-called Western style democracy politics, they will say, oh, you're a kid, you're too young, you have no experience. Go and sit down. We age mates of your grandfather are talking, you are talking. But you see, what he has is genuine love, compassion, the kind of love Thomas Sankara was equally murdered had. Patrice Lumumba, Nkrumah, it is that selfless love, commitment to the people. But now the Americans come, the British, the French, where the French are just even, between the French and the Americans, I don't even know which is even worse. Just to foment all these seeds of confusion over the place. With their military base, that is what we can see. The ones we cannot see is, I mean, if you know the 1/10 of the havoc these people are creating over it will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. And just because of the want of some little token things, our African leaders, they just go with them, and then it's as if they sold their souls. Yes. Nkrumah said, Not until all Africa is free, nobody is free in Africa. And I will add that not until Africa is free of all these military occupations. Yeah, we are occupied people. All these military bases all over the place. If the Americans, the Brits, the Italians, the Spaniards, the French, whoever want to protect themselves, go and protect your borders from yourself. Go and protect your borders from your own country. You don't want to protect America from Africa. Israel, you don't want to protect Israel from Africa. Go and build a wall around Israel. If you think that is what is going to save you. You have to put, because when you have all this military base, that's how they start this confusion. America is now about to set Africans, Nigerians, and Ghana on a war path to life. Now I'm reminded of a little example attributed to Mark Twain. What says Mark Twain? If you get a jar, put a number of black ants in a jar. Equal amount of ants, of red ants in that same jar. Black ants and red ants. They will live in perfect harmony without a problem. But take that jar, just a little shake. Those ants that have been living together in harmony for since the beginning, we turn against each other. And we even fight themselves to the death. Completely unknown to them, the cause of the disharmony is from the outside. Somebody has tampered with that jar. For over 500 years, Africa has been tampered with. But now, it's a new age. We know the culprits. We know those that are tampering with our jar. Yet, we let them get away with it. Because they call us partners. They call us their associates. They call us their friends. You have no friends. Africa remains the prize. The prize, according to John Clark, the prize that everybody wants, nobody cares to pay for. So we should not be deceived that they are our friends, they mean us to have. No. By the time they are finished with you, it will be too late. So we must wake up. We must wake up. Anyway, back to the story that inspired this talk, which is Agnes Wanjiru. The sun has gone down now. I hope you can still see. Let me open the lens a little bit. The sun has gone down, but I hope you can still see it though. You can still see it. Anyway, it's all about this lady here, Agnes Wanjiru. I hope you like the painting, if not for anything, the vibrance of the colors. And by all means, please let's keep her memory alive, and hopefully one day justice will be opportune, if not for anything, but for the sake of the young child she left behind. It's a very sad situation with her that the Kenyan authorities tolerated this nonsense, and this soldier, hopefully one day he will face justice. And I hope, as for my country, Nigeria, will never give in to this military occupation, and other African countries, because we have how many African countries occupied so far? We have 15. Hopefully, the others will follow the Nigerian example and not tolerate more military bases in Africa. There's a thing. I'll show you a painting I did now, because this is a painting I'm working on. I'm sorry about that of you. One moment. This is a painting I did. This is a this is a Sankofa bed. You can see. Again, this Sankofa bed, this is something that was given to us by Ghana. This talk was supposed to be about Kenya, actually. It's supposed to be about Kenya and this Wanjiru, but you can see how one thing leads to the other. So this is from the Twi traditions of Ghana. You can see, I've not finished it now. I'm still going to work on it, hopefully within the next few weeks. I'll try to finish it before this year. I've got so many things doing, but I'll try to finish it for a year. But you see this bed, the bed is moving forward, but looking backwards. and his peak there, he's got an egg. This is the Sankofa bed. What does this signify? Going back. In the Twi language, where this thing originally says, it's never too late to retrieve that which is lost. Anyway, yeah, Africans, it's never too late for us to retrieve that which we have lost and which we continue to lose every passing day. Our self-respect, our dignity as a people. And my call is only for our leaders to remember the formula suggested by Professor Leonard Jeffries. He calls it the VIPs, African values, African interests, and African principles. Once we can get those two rights, we might have a different world. So, on that note, I'll wrap it up and say thank you very much for joining me on this beautiful day. The sun rose, now the sun has retreated. So, that is Agnes Wanjiru. Please say her name. And may justice be granted to her. I thank you. The name is Apomemie Erucharo. It is a pleasure.